let's turn to our intermediate repertoire. So we're going to go right into our repertoire section. You probably can bring it closer for lecture. Boop. I want us to review. It's going to feel so silly to be mic'd in such a small, but otherwise it won't last till Sunday. I want us to review our layerings, okay? So, here she is. When we are working to achieve spinal shapes, I want you to remember that we're always moving towards getting the spinal column longer through shortening it to expand it. And 2 of us have had children, but you guys understand the concept of contractions. The muscle, the womb, it contracts, and then it expands, and then it contracts a little bit more, but guess what? The next time it expands more. And so if you can think of it in terms like that, at the end of the day, when the client has finished their class, we want them to feel elongated in the spine. That is the whole point. So quite often, you can have clients that will come and be like, oh, I want to get summer abs, or I want to get a nice booty. And you can play around with that nuance, and it's fun, and it's cute, and it's cheeky. But also, remember at the end of the day, being classically trained, it is your responsibility to educate your clients as well. Because they might not know that it is about achieving elongation of the spine. So I want to just start there, and then we're going to talk about the shapes in intermediate, because you will see, as soon as we go to contrology, the shapes are extreme. And they're so much fun. But they're extreme, right? So, I had a client today at a studio, and she was in fundamentals, and we have baskets that have props, and at the end of the class, she goes, what classes use these? And she pointed to the ankle and hand weights. And I said, well, none that I teach. And I said, I wasn't being mean, like I was in a good mood. I wasn't like, well, none that I was just, none that I teach. And she goes, well, which classes? I was like, typically fire and stretch and the athletic. I said, in fundamentals, we try and move from control to challenge. She doesn't need to know I'm talking classical. And I said, how many classes have you done? She was at a different studio before, but it was my first one with her. And I said, to tell you the truth, like, did you find that one hard? And she goes, yeah. Right? So I said, well, then there's no need for a prop just yet. Right? And then we just left it. You don't always have to get into a long over. I tend to, because I got a lot to say, right? But you can keep things very simple and very clean. So let's just talk about, if you have a client that comes in and is like, I'm interested in taking your mat class, do you think I'm going to get summer abs? What would be a realistic way to talk about that, to deal with that? What would you say to them?
I mean, you could talk in terms of like how your abs or how your core is going to feel, how to strengthen those muscles.
Okay, so I'm coming to your class. Cassandra, oh my gosh, I'm so excited you're on the schedule. I have been feeling a little like bloated lately. I drank a little too much. I really want to get my summer abs. Can I come? Like, is your class going to do it for me? Because that's how clients will talk. So talk to me like I am that person.
Yeah.
Yeah, my class is the best. I'll take
double.
100%. Double the money.
Yeah, we do a lot of core exercises to strengthen those muscles, a lot of back exercises to bring the abs in.
Good.
And you'll definitely get stronger in your center and in your core, and you'll feel better, and because you feel better, you look better.
Good. Good. Yeah.
Is that a bad answer?
No, there's no bad answer. I just want you guys to be well versed. Like, this is just as important as how you cue repertoire. What about the woman or man who says, you know, I really just want to lose this extra weight. I still have the COVID weight. We have to be very honest. Pilates is not the exercise discipline for weight loss.
Well, I mean, the way that I experience Pilates is it's training functional movement and like functionality with the body. So it's actually not necessarily designed to give you those kind of results, but it will actually get you more tone in a full body way, whereas opposed to like going for a run and like putting yourself through like intense cardio and like training weight. Like you are using mostly your own body weight to train your own body functionally from the center, essentially your low abs and your spine out towards your limbs. So you're getting a full body workout.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a woman say to me, this was probably back in November, she goes, my doctor told me doing Pilates that I won't lose weight. And I looked right at her and I'm like, your doctor's right. I think she was flabbergasted because I was inside the studio she just paid to come to. I'm like, but it's going to pull everything in and up. And I'm like, but if we want to talk about weight, we probably have to talk about hormones, and I'm not an endocrinologist. Because she would look to my age or older, right? So you always have to be real, but you give them the support they're looking for. Don't make them feel, well, what the heck did I come for, right? But also, we have to be so aware. You guys have signed up to do your teacher training because you have an authentic passion for this movement modality. Many people who are your clients will be following a trend. So it is also our responsibility to educate them on what that trend is. So it's fine to say, yeah, your core is going to get stronger, but you can always layer in, just remember, it is a movement practice. It is all about your spinal health. Oh, can you imagine when you're 98 and you can like do a roll up? How cool is that? I remember when my grandma couldn't bend down to put her shoes on. You know, like you can nuance it in a very healthy way where they'll get their fitness achievable wishes, their preferences, but as a classically trained teacher, you always want to have in the back of your head to layer in the educational piece, the history piece, and the philosophy. Always come from education, history, philosophy. No one's going to ask you why the reformer was invented. Do you know how many times I've shared that without being prompted? And then it makes sense, and that encourages people to get back to that. And because I am a little cheeky, and I can get away with it most of the time in good humor, when most of my billable invoiced hours are on the reformer these days, I will drop comments in reformer classes. You know, you guys would have that hip flexion better if you did a mat class. We've been working at it for like 8 weeks, guys. I love you so much, but you're just not hearing the cue. Your bodies just aren't opening. Just skip the squats for a week and hit a mat class. You know, sometimes I say it like that. Sometimes when they're inside sit-ups on short box, I'm like, I do not care if your glutes hurt. You did that to yourself. I warmed you up properly. I expect full extension. Away you go. Like, you can get both shonas. But I always want you, because we're doing our mount comprehensive, I always want you to be aware that it actually is your responsibility to educate them without being prompted. And cueing will give them that availability of information. So when you're done the roll-up, it is okay outside of an exam situation. Instead of going straight into single leg circles, it is okay to say, hey, just take a moment. How do you feel the spine different sinking into the earth? Like, you can incorporate your yoga training. Like, it's not wrong. Don't you feel longer? And always, I would like to hope that when you're doing, at the end, your push-up, your swan dive into your push-up, you can say, you guys wouldn't have been able to start with this if you didn't execute those roll-ups so well. Your roll-ups were so good today, guys. Doesn't that just feel good? Because you have to layer in that education piece. That makes sense? Oh, good. So, when it comes to classical mat order, open leg rocker is our first new layering of repertoire. What shape are we going for in open leg rocker? What is our spinal shape?
C-curve.
I mean, you only really have two to choose from, right? Yeah, C-curve. It kind of, though, rotates through both a little, right? And you'll see in contrology, like Joe goes into the hinge back, but an extreme shape, because his layerings later are a lot more advanced, right? So if you think of that extension, we worked on it so much from underneath the legs last week, but then if you can do that and still It's a lot. It's a lot to pull back and reach, right? Okay, I want to take a look at double leg kick in intermediate mat. As per classical, the hairy part of the knuckle is on the floor. In Contrology, it's not. Okay, so you'll see the nuances. Neck pull, I would always err on the side of only doing half. You don't do the full neck pull, or you break it down into 4 small steps. Shoulder bridge, make sure that the shoulders are rotated open and down. But guess what? When the shoulders are rotated open and down, they're going to chicken pop their ribs. Their chest is going to peacock. So let's take a moment. I'll wait till we're done writing because that's important. Let's take a moment, the shoulder bridge, to talk about this Pilates cue, knitting the ribs together. Anatomically, we have our rib cage, right? You can feel it, right? It's protecting your lungs, it's protecting your heart, right? So when we say knit the ribs together, think of someone with a sewing needle knitting. It actually means we want the visual cue that those ribs are actually going to be interlaced like this. When we say pull the abs in and up, so it's coming horizontally. When we say pull the abs in and up, we want them to start to curve already so that they lift. Now, this is getting very nuanced, right? Because when you say knit the ribs together, it's pulling in from the girdle, from the lateral sides, straight in to the midline. You can also say hug the midline, all right? It's important that you understand that physically we can't knit the ribs together. You can't bring So some of these Pilates cues, I want you to, because unfortunately, some trainings people just memorize and regurgitate. You guys need to know it. Pull the abs in and up. It's not up and in. It's so nuanced, but a teacher just regurgitating would say up and in, up and in. Well, up and in would actually be the back of the leg. In and up is the abs, right? Because when you look at the picture from the anatomy last time, it was the rectus here that would, the abdominis rectus, right? So I want us to be very aware of these layerings because these are intermediate cues, right? So when we say shoulder bridge, roll the shoulders down into the mat. Secure all the ribs on the mat underneath, right? Knit the ribs together as you inhale. As you exhale, I want you to C-shape, lift the tailbone, right? You have to be able to understand why you're saying what you're saying. Jackknife, in intermediate, it's the back 45. You work towards the 90. You can practice. In Contrology, it's the 90. You go boom, 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 boom. Side kick series is just more layerings. You have more options. The other thing for side kick series that we didn't talk about last week is instead of going, I know I mentioned it, but we didn't do it. When you come into side kick series, you jackknife the feet to the 45 and you get into your step. You can stay in a straight line. This is much harder because in Contrology, you should be mouse housed, palm over palm, and the bottom foot could even be raised. Kick forward, point back. It's a destabilizer. To move the legs into the straight line and to lift the bottom leg is a destabilizer, which just adds more challenge, and you guys already know that. For swimming, straight line swimming is more challenging than starfish swimming. I always cue straight line first, because me, myself, and I, when I teach a mat class, sometimes I do both swimmings. I won't keep them there for 20, but I always do the harder one first, because if they have come out of double leg kick, they have already been able to pull their arms back, so why couldn't they, in the opposite expression, have them all the way here? shape the inside of the hands. Same at the feet. Okay? Mermaid, it's an easy one, I think. I don't think it deserves so much over-explanation. In classical though, so you'll see a lot of people, they'll just sit like this, they'll tuck. In classical, the top foot goes into the arch, right? You can secure on the shin. That's usually how it's cued, right? It kind of hooks there. So I just want to take a little bit more time to see the shapes and see the cues, because you're going to get so into teaching and you'll just start to flow that if you don't give these guys a little bit of extra attention in real time, then you might just kind of bypass them and use fundamental cueing, okay? So let's just write some quick cues for each one. Open leg rocker, what would be one intermediate cue? I know it's in your manual, I want you to think in real time and write it on your overall sheet. If we're going for extension, opposition, and a C shape, what is one cue you could give them at an intermediate level?
Cue the pressing the legs into the hands.
Absolutely. Remember your intermediate cues in their order: box, opposition. What comes next? Okay, flip and find it. Box, opposition, I believe midline.
Box, primary, secondary.
Box, primary, secondary, opposition, midline. Yeah. So in your head, what would be oppositional cue for open leg rocker?
Spine, belly button away from the legs.
Good.
Think about drawing nose towards navel, belly button away from thighs.
Yeah, get that belly button off the thighs. Perfect. So write it down so you have something you know you can practice, because our first segment, other than that quick little talk about business and stuff, is going to be to practice our intermediate. And then I want to see you guys teach it enough that I can, you don't have to do an intermediate exam. I just need to see you teach it, All right, what about double leg kick? What would be an intermediate cue?
Could you cue the pelvis sinking into the mat?
And then
triangle.
yeah.
And the abs coming up in the little ladybug.
Yeah, you could do the ladybug. Yeah. You can also cue for the back. You can, what is the back actually doing?
Extending.
I want you to feel that back extension. I always say fly. That's a Shona thing. You don't see that in Patrol. Right? Just like the Huskies mushing, that's a Dana Marie thing. Right? But I like the idea of cueing flying, because when I say I want you up higher, 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 lift and fly, right? It accelerates their ability to lift. Okay? What about neck pull? What do you think is the most important cue in neck pull? What are people going to do? What's going to happen to the back of their legs?
They're going to lift up.
They're going to lift up.
So place your glutes into the floor. Place your legs into the floor.
Would it be so wrong to say, take the palms of your hands and cement your legs down? You can't do that on a classical exam, but if someone gives themselves a tactile cue, it's not wrong. Pull your toes towards your nose. Get your heels on there, right? Right? So write down a cue that makes sense to you, because I will be looking for these when you demo teach, okay? Shoulder bridge.
Tuck your shoulders back. And I would say tilt the tailbone, curl it under, so then all four corners of the rib cage are on the mat.
Yeah?
The calf under the
Yeah.
hands firmly on the floor.
The only thing about the word tuck, and this could just be, ESL, is I feel it might pull in too much instead of rounding down. But that's me being picky now, but I am being picky because it's weekend 3. If someone told me to tuck my chin, I would do that. If someone told me to inhale, as you exhale, curl your chin to your chest. I'm already curling, because the tuck kind of changes the angle. But that's just me. I don't need to be right in it. But My shoulders are up. They need to come down.
I would say slide the shoulders up to the ears and slide the scapula down the back.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
Yeah, and you're already open.
Yeah. I'm open, I'm down. Now, to the best of my ability now, I would say knit your ribs together. Make sure all ribs are on the floor. Right? Okay, so write something down that makes sense to you.
My rib.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Darling, darling.
I'm a bad paper student.
Keep a pen. Keep a pen. Have a pen, keep a pen. And I think it merits going over because last weekend we got a lot done, but the intermediate repertoire has a tendency to feel a little rushed. And I don't want that for you guys. I don't want that for this training. All right, now we need to have the shoulder bridge established in order to jackknife. So I want you to remember that when they come up, they lower down to get some momentum. When they come up, they press into the mat, they lift, they transfer their hands for safety. Now, when someone gets advanced, and you see they can do it without, remember last week I'm like, don't throw up, right? If you see that they can do it without throwing their legs up, encourage them. Like, I've watched you for a couple weeks. Today when you go into jackknife, you've got the contrology. You don't have to say control, you can use real terms. You've got the contrology down pat, but you can keep your hands pressing into the mat. Just remember, I want the entire surface of the arm pushed down. Right? Okay. Side kick series, the thing that changes is that you don't have to over cue it. You pick one cue, usually it's the height of the leg. At intermediate, for kick forward, point back, their legs should not be dropped. They should be high as the hip, if not higher. Swimming, we talked about straight lines. So what are some cues? Because a lot of people won't be able to get their hands really together. We're working towards it. What could we actually say to encourage them so they don't feel like they're not getting it? But
I would say keep hands in line with the shoulders.
beautiful. And once that feels established, don't say comfortable or easy, once that feels established, can you maybe walk them in a little closer?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, what about if I gave you, whatever, to put between your hands, you know? Stack $1 million. Could you squish it and hold it? Whatever you want to say, okay? Once they can straight line swim, would you as a teacher choose to be out? You can, you don't need to. I always do, well I shouldn't say always, 99% of the time, because straight line swimming is so frustrating for people. It's the same you'll see when we do reformer, like when we do push-ups and one-handed push-ups, I usually do jump-offs, just to release that tension, like with the claps. Because it's just fun, right? But you don't have to. Mermaid, remember what we're looking for, so don't miss the point of mermaid, because we're starting to work our lateral sides, right? Remember the point is, when you come over, if someone was to put a ring in your hand, a magic circle, you could hold the ring. That is the point. It is a C shape, and you're going to pull up in a C shape. I think of the Coco Chanel logo. Right? So those are the ones that, you know, I know we went through it rapido last weekend, but I really want you to have had the time, and you can even hear how I'm talking slow, so it like sinks right down in, right? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some time where I want you guys teaching each other. I'm not involved, we don't have a meal, so I want you, like Dana, you would teach open leg rocker to these two, and then Sandra, you would get up and teach open leg rocker to those two, and then Austin, you would get only open leg rocker, and I'm going to watch, and I'm going to correct in real time. Okay? And we're going through every single new intermediate repertoire. Right? So we don't need to change our positions, but I'm going to, call out corrective things because I don't want you to practice wrong. You know what I mean? So, let's just take a look. It's 2:41. We'll try and get through as many as we can, but then at 3:15, we'll take a 5-minute break and you can sit your exam. So that way the exam is done by 4, and then I can make a judgment call of our last hour. Does that sound fair? Okay. Alright. Who wants to teach first? Each other?
I will.
Okay. Are you happy with how the mats are? Or do you want to reconfigure them? Like, do you want to angle them or, because I'm going to sit here and stare at you basically, for lack of better words. Stare at them.
Do you want us cueing from standing? Like to get out of the doing it on the mat?
I would appreciate
That,
that.
that's something I'm trying to work towards. I should probably
But
actually
if
do
that feels too fished out of water for right now, I would rather you get the cueing correct. So if you still feel you need to integrate open leg rocker into your body, I don't really care today.
I'll try.
Okay.
Okay. So open leg rock will come from spine stretch forward. So I would say, okay, so from spine stretch forward, bring the legs together and bend at the knees to bring the soles of the feet to the mat. Grab behind the thighs. And roll back onto your sits bones. C-shaping the spine just a little bit and stay there. From there, can you hover the legs? Walk the hands up toward the back of the calves and try to straighten out those legs.
So here's a corrective cue.
Okay.
Instead of saying, yeah, you guys can pause every time I interrupt, so you're good.
Okay.
Instead of
Doing
saying,
it, but like, ooh, I don't know.
and it's fine, you didn't do anything wrong, I'm just going to clean it up. It's the cleanup weekend. Instead of saying try to, tell them to.
Okay. Yeah.
They will try. Right? And you don't have to be a bitch about it or be mean about it. You just say, and begin to extend your legs. It's just cleaner classical. Okay, go again, run it.
Okay, so hands behind the thighs. So walk the hands up behind the calves and extend the legs out long. Press the legs into your hands. As you C-shape your spine in opposition, pull the belly button in and begin to roll back, just like rolling like a ball, to roll up.
Excellent, stop there. Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. I mean, good cues, but they hovered too long.
Okay.
Right? You guys were there for too long. You felt it, but you didn't do anything wrong. The more it becomes organic, you'll run it. Yeah.
Yep.
Dana, can you teach those two?
Okay, so I want you to come in a spinal stretch forward position. So inhale, exhale, roll all the way up. Getting crowned, Princess Genovia. Nice. Okay. Bring the soles of the feet on the floor, knees are bent, grab behind the thighs. Sit back on your sit bones, and as you sit back, you're going to walk your arms to the calves and extend the legs all the way out. From here, you're going to roll back, like rolling like a ball, to roll up with the chest out.
Good.
Nice.
That's all you need. Yeah.
Perfect.
That's really good. So, one thing that I would like Austin to include, just because we haven't heard it yet, is stabilize the shoulders to avoid tension.
Okay.
So include that in your cueing. Also, legs should be wider than the shoulders until you're in control.
So from spine stretch forward,
Good work, guys.
we'll roll up to seated, bending the knees, placing both soles of the feet on the floor. Now, taking hold of the back of the thighs, start to walk your hands up towards your calves, and then stretch both legs out, stretching them, toes up towards high 45. Good. Now roll your shoulders down the back to stabilize. Start to find that C-shaped curve in your low spine as you roll back, like rolling like a ball, and then come rolling back up onto your sit bones. Good. Nice proud chest, open chest, nice and forward, and then rolling back again. Rolling up to sit on the sit bones, open chest.
Good work. So now that you see it moving in your body, the shoulders stabilized, you were more balanced. You are both way more balanced.
I felt more balanced. I did it twice and I
So make a note of that in your manuals. That's what I would like to hear you guys say, because you can see the results immediately in the body. Also, don't allow your clients to be afraid to pull on their legs.
Mm-hmm.
You want that.
I actually feel like, because usually I wear pants and now because it's hot AF outside, I'm wearing shorts.
Yeah.
I felt it's so much easier doing open leg rocker.
See, I hate the pants that I
Yep.
chose today. I'm the opposite. What was the shoulder cue
Yes.
square and
It's under starting position, stabilize the shoulder blades to avoid tension.
Okay.
Yeah. But how you cued it was excellent.
Okay.
And if they get that cue in open leg rocker, you use the exact same cue for shoulder blades.
Yeah.
Because they already understood it. So if you see the results, lock into that. Dial right into that terminology. You know, and that's another thing, just while I'm on the topic. You know, if you notice that how you're cueing, you're not getting the results, don't stick with it. Like if that works, stick with it. But in the 100, because it's classical, it is a vigorous pump up, up, up. Well, my hands are going both up and down. Pump up, up, up through cement, right? If I said up, up through cement for 20 years and I was getting no results, I would have to change it up. Yeah, so when you see something that sticks and it's anatomically correct, run it. All right, good work. Let's go on to our double knee. Double leg, pardon me. So, let's do the same order. Cassandra, you teach. You're only going to do one each side.
So double leg kick comes out, so we already have our stomachs, right? So
Yeah.
that comes after single leg?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to try to do it without doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm all over the place today. Okay, so, hands are in front of you, right?
I'm here. I'm in it. I know. I will just watch. I will observe.
I'm just going to keep going.
Okay.
Okay, so from here, swim the arms around to meet at the small of your back, interlacing the fingers. Wow, we haven't done this one in a while.
Yep, so right face cheek on the mat.
Okay, right face cheek on the mat.
And why do we say face cheek?
Around your bum cheek.
Well, some people make the silliest mistakes when they're trying to be exactly what the teacher wants. Yes?
Right face cheek, that was me.
Yeah.
Right face cheek on the mat. We kick the legs 3 times to the bum. Kick, 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 extend, press the tops of the feet into the mat as you begin to lift the head and the chest. Look forward and extend the arms back behind you.
Yeah,
And
so
fly.
the only thing is the arms have to extend in the lift.
Okay. So
So I like cueing the extension first. Kick, kick,
Extend
kick,
into
lift and fly. Because I like to cue, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, that the hands are reaching for the heels and the heels are going away. And sometimes I joke like it's a toxic relationship. Right? Because the heels are going and you're in. But that's because I think it's silly. Right? You don't want to trigger anyone who's going through a divorce or something. You know what I mean? But, like, you can say whatever you want, but because it's got to start to move from here. Because if they just lift up off the ground, their upper body, and they don't have something pulling them back, this feels heavy.
yeah. No, I like that.
This feels
Extend
heavy.
the arms to lift the chest. Can
Yeah.
I say that?
Yep. Yep, so try it again.
Okay, from the beginning?
Yep.
Okay, so swim the arms around to meet at the small of the back, interlace the fingers. From here, we take the legs and the heels to the bum as we kick, 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 extend, press the feet into the mat, and extend the arms as you lift the chest and fly for 3, for 2, for 1, and down to the left face cheek.
Good. Awesome. Excellent.
I
So-
don't remember to say that.
What I want you guys, and she did it perfect when she was saying kick, kick, kick. I never want you to change it because it is called double leg kick. So you can't say pulse, you can't say drag, you can't say pulse your heels to your bum, drag your heels to the bum. That I will be picky about in real life.
Well, and it's also supposed to be like a
Yeah, exactly. All right,
Yeah.
Dana, you're up, kiddo.
Okay, so begin laying on your stomach. Nice. Okay, so you're going to swim both of your arms to the lower back, interlacing the hands. Beginning on your right cheek, we're going to kick the heels for 3 to the bum. 3, 2, 1. Press down the feet to the floor, lift the chest, extend the arms up, 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 up. And then exhale, land on the left cheek. Again, you're going to kick, 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 press down with the feet, lift up, extend, inhale, and then exhale, land on the right cheek.
Good, excellent. So now when we're cleaning it up, when they get intermediate, it was perfect. Cueing was perfect. You guys moved perfect. Press down to lift. Press down, lift up.
Press down to lift, okay.
Because you said it with maybe 8 words, but they got it. So now you've done 2 like that. You say, we have 5 more for flow. Press down, lift, and you almost cut yourself. You've got it, keep going. You give them the agency when you see they're doing it right. You start to take words out and you speak in verbs. That's why being European is actually advantageous to teaching classical Pilates, because we don't do the fluff and puff. Do, now, please, go. In fact, we don't even have the please. Like in Swedish culture, if you came over for dinner, I'd say, pass me the butter. In Canadian, that'd be so rude. Can you please help when you're talking? Can you? I'm sorry. And that's fine. I'm not saying it's wrong. Canadians have a very good reputation out in the world. But the cleaner your cues get, you should speak less.
Okay.
Right? That was excellent because they did it.
My German side.
Yeah.
My German side.
And because they did it. And also, and I am my own worst enemy, because I'm going to tell you something that I'm not so good at doing, is that I'm good at it sometimes. I'm good at it when I'm really grounded and I'm not like forcing a result. The more you advance your students, the less cues they need because you've done your job. I overtalk in Reformer these days because I'm so worried about safety, that if I would lean back into trust and know that I've been doing it at certain studios for almost a year, I could shut up a little bit more. I have so much to offer though that I'm easily excited, and so I talk a little bit too much. But as your mentor, as the teacher who's giving the training, she could have just said, press down, lift up. And then she could just be quiet and get, like, you know, so it was excellent. All right, Austin, double leg kick.
Okay, laying down on your belly, right side of the cheek, face cheek on the mat. Swinging your hands forward and around to interlace behind your low back. Turn to flex your heels towards your bum, kicking for 3, for 2, for 1, landing tops of the feet down towards the mat, pulling hands towards the heels. You lift the arms, the shoulders, and the chest up off the mat, gazing towards the top of the mat, and then landing, rolling back down, landing left side of the face down. Bending heels towards bum, kick for 3, for 2, for 1, landing tops of the feet down, pressing them into the mat as you reach hands towards the heels, opening shoulders, chest, gaze up towards the top of your mat, and then landing right side of the cheek down on the mat.
Very good. Once the body starts to advance, the legs and the upper body go at the same time. So right now, all 3 of you cued. You put the feet down first and you extend the arms. Once the body's advanced, in your manual it says simultaneously. Okay? You watch for it. But you'll notice it's the same when I'm doing double knee stretch. Now I do it partly for the challenge, but technically double knee stretch is fluid. When I teach it, extend the arms, 2, 3, 4, 5, I break it down. So it's not wrong to break this guy down, right? But eventually, when they kick, 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 at once, right? Okay, cool beans. Let's continue. Let's go to, we're gonna omit side kick series. We're gonna omit neck pull because I want Emil here. We're gonna go to shoulder bridge. So flip to shoulder bridge. It would be under your shoulder bridge prep. We have to write it in, actually. Because you have shoulder bridge prep, but you don't have full shoulder bridge.
Yeah.
It says intermediate level, only in the transition, I believe. Okay, let's write her in. Go under intermediate. There's a line there for you. So, at the intermediate, I want you to write, roll your shoulders open, or roll your shoulders down and into the mat. You can write open, down, into. First things first, it's a shoulder bridge, so you cue the shoulders. Always think about the name of the repertoire. So you roll your shoulders into the mat, you can press them, you can lift and open them as Austin suggested, right? Sliding down. Number 2 is the ribs. knit the ribs together and make sure all ribs are connected underneath. Knit, you can write down, connect it. What leg variation is this to get up into shoulder bridge? What other piece of repertoire came before that would have taught the legs how to lift? Corkscrew. So it's not wrong to actually say, think about what you did in corkscrew. We are about to lift from the tailbone, scoop the abs, and come up into our full shoulder bridge expression. That's all it is. Just putting two pieces together to get up. So however that makes sense in your head, you can write it down.
Can you say that again?
You can say, using corkscrew legs, lift the tailbone as you come up into your full shoulder bridge expression or extension. That's the only difference, is that the legs are lifted. Okay, so let's teach shoulder bridge.
Okay, wait, I'm confused. Okay, so we've only ever done shoulder bridge with the feet here, right?
For fundamentals.
Yes. So the legs go up, like,
So, good,
Yeah,
let's
I'm
make the
trying to figure
distinction.
it out.
Let's make the distinction. Your shoulder bridge in fundamentals, it looks like a hip bridge because you're training them to roll. You're training them. You know, I love in Shavasana when someone comes in, right? And so what you're training them to do is to be able to have the shoulders rolled down, the ribs pulled down, you're bridging here, so that when they get to intermediate, they can lift from the tailbone, scoop the abs, and here. Their shoulders are down, hands transfer. This is jackknife. I extend it and I pull forward. This is jackknife intermediate. This is shoulder bridge. I'm down. When you jackknife, you are lifting up into a higher extension. So they look a little the same, don't they? Like, well, what's a shoulder bridge? This is shoulder bridge. And actually in yoga, the classical trios, you would come up into a shoulder bridge. You could do whatever you wanted, right? But then you would go into plow, you would come down, you would go into fish, and then you go into Shavasana or Avasana when you're looking at traditional yogic ending trios, right? So it's very similar.
Is it an entirely different pose to then have the legs like in line with the spine? Like,
But when it comes forward,
yeah, is
yeah.
that like something completely different?
Something different,
It's
yeah. And
not
that,
even a jackknife anymore?
no,
No.
jackknife is the back 45.
Okay.
But it's a variation if you want to say you can tick-tock from the back 45 to the front 45.
Okay.
Jackknife is the relation to the extension out of the hips.
Okay.
You are, because if you think of
Yeah.
see, I like the sound effects. It works for me. We don't need words. Because you're in your shoulder bridge and then you, it's perfect. All right, so where you go, teach them a shoulder bridge.
okay.
A full one.
Okay, so lying on your back, roll the shoulders down and into the mat, knit the ribs together, and using corkscrew legs, would you cue the down through the midline first to come up for like momentum?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Using corkscrew legs, legs up towards the ceiling, send them down the midline slightly, then back up the midline to lift the tailbone and come up into your full shoulder bridge extension. Bring the hands to the back for support. And that's pretty much it, right?
That's it.
So the difference, sorry, the difference is then in jackknife, the hips come up.
They extend
Extend, okay.
from their extensors,
Okay.
from the trunk, which talks to the anatomy we ran through last weekend. Yeah. Good. I don't think we need the two of you to teach that one. It's pretty self-explanatory because now let's get Dana Marie to teach jackknife, but we'll review it first. So, in jackknife, I want you to think about the breath. The inhale activates the abs and it controls the rollover. Okay? You want to cue the tailbone and jackknife. You want to cue the tailbone, you want to cue the tailbone. Can't miss cueing the tailbone, or someone's just gonna throw their legs up and smush their tailbone, and it'll hurt, it won't feel nice. More than likely in a mat class, when it's just their weight articulating up and over, they're not gonna injure their tailbone. The injuries in that would come with feed-in straps because there's resistance. Unless someone really like osteoporosis, things like this, right? Like bone density. But like in general, but still cue it, okay? Exhale, maintain the toes overhead while articulating the spine down. Inhale up, exhale down, right? And you are lengthening. It's lengthening, lengthening, lengthening. Okay? All right, way you go.
Okay,
So it's very similar cues.
okay, now I know, it's like, okay,
That's why some things are easy. Not everything has to be so layered and complicated, right? We're building.
okay, so lying on your backs, hands are firmly onto the floor. We're going to take a nice inhale, exhale, bring the legs up 90 degrees towards the ceiling. Heels to touch, toes are apart. We're going to inhale, exhale, start to lift the tailbone. We're going to inhale, lower the legs to the center, and then exhale, bring them all the way up. Yes, lift the hips, and then transfer your hands to your lower back for support. And then you're in your jackknife, and as you exhale, roll down slow, vertebrae by vertebrae, tailbone being the last one, hands get placed on the mat. Nice, beautiful.
What will people do wrong in this one? They won't extend. They won't know the difference.
Right.
So when you get out into the real world, you don't have to do jackknife. You can just do shoulder bridge. Or you can omit shoulder bridge and do jackknife, but cue them to move towards extension. It's only in a class amongst teachers where I would do both, or if I was really going for a strong, solid intermediate group. Like my White Oaks group, because I'm trying to achieve something, I have an agenda with that group. For their sake, but also my own. I am a very strategic woman. I can like trip trap and go flower to flower, but when it comes to White Oaks, it is a good place for me to be known as the classical teacher. So that group is a mat 2, and I stay true to intermediate, and I layer in contrology, right? So they get it, but if I was just teaching like an intermediate mat, I probably wouldn't do both, to be real, right? All right, let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna get Austin to teach jackknife, and then we're going to stop there for this portion.
So laying down on your back. Roll the shoulders up towards the ears, sliding scapula down the back. Palms of the hands are pressing firmly down and towards your mat. Reaching the legs up towards the 90 degrees. And start to hover them just about 45 degrees in front of you, lowering. And then start to send your legs back up towards the 90 degrees as you tuck your tail, rolling up onto your shoulders. Use your hands to support your lower back. Good. And then placing palms of the hands back down towards the earth and rolling back down vertebrae by vertebrae, bone by bone. Trying to keep the hips exactly where they are. Good.
Very nice. And you can also use that, right? If you want that extension. Also a nice cue, I didn't write it in your manual, but you guys should, and I'll do it in the addition, is when they come up and over, right? And the hands are here. You can say, push your hands to extend. It helps them compensate, but it makes them feel it. Why not give them that, push them up. I think it's a nice one. It's a nice one. Tomorrow when Emil is here, we'll run through the rest of the intermediate. I don't think that swimming and mermaid will desire so much attention. I will also give you the handouts for teaser 1, 2, and 3 tomorrow, so we can actually work through those. Now I think we just take like a 5-minute break. Well, I guess a 9-minute break, and then 3:15 you do your math.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yep.
Is that good?
Yep.
Good. I would like to make a start with contrology, because me, myself, and I, as much as I've enjoyed all of the other stuff we've learned, this to me is like breast milk. I didn't know what else to say.
But I get
This
it.
is like,
You need it to survive.
this is like, and so part of me was gonna wait until tomorrow, but I really don't know if I can contain the excitement, right, to get into like Contrology. To get us those belly button tattoos,
Yeah.
that's what I'm aiming for. So, I know, I'm like, can I wait till tomorrow? Probably not. I could already wait till today. So, let's take a 9-minute break. Then you are Austin's body for his exam, and then we'll see what we do after, but I would like to start to make moves into Contrology.